Right, so now maybe let's merge this in. You just have a look what this looks like. So not that interesting yet, but we're getting somewhere. So for this shell, let's first do a poly extrude. And let's just extrude it inwards a little bit. Let's output to back. Right. And so now we have it. So now it has like a little bit of thickness. So now what we want to do is type VDB from polygons and create it into a VDB. That's what we used before with the pig as well, right? So, okay, maybe we want this to be a little bit thicker so we have some more stuff to work with. And maybe a little bit higher resolution VDB. And let's convert the VDB back to polygons. Right, so let's view it as a wireframe. You can see now we have a ton of polygons. Apart from that, it's somewhat similar. All right, so now what we kind of want to do is we want to inset this stuff a little bit wherever there's an eye. So you should know how to do this. So I give you a couple of seconds to pause the video if you want to try yourself, and else I'll just show it. Right. So what we want to do is we want to attribute transfer. So this is what we did a couple of lessons back as well. We're going to transfer something from the eyes to the geometry. And what do we want to transfer? We need to create an attribute. Let's create a color. So let's make the eyes white, and then let's make the head black. So just because with color it's just easy to look at what we're doing, so we don't have to create a separate visualizer. So let's transfer just the color. Let's turn off primitives, and let's turn down the distance threshold, because that's of course gonna well, transfer the entire thing. So let's move up the blend width a little bit. By the way, why we did the VDB is just to get more resolution on our thing. So maybe we could even up it a little bit more. So we can get this nice blend width. So now what we want to do is we want to move this geometry inwards, but only where this attribute is. So we did this before, remember, displace along normal. So let's do this. Okay, but let's do it in a wrangle this time. So we did it in a VOP the last time, let's do it in a wrangle this time. And I'm trying to sort of slowly maybe do some stuff in wrangle, some stuff in VOP, so you can kind of see how it works in either way. You can pick and choose whatever you think is easiest. Because again, some people will find it easier with VOPs and some will find it easier with VEX. All right, so what do we want to do? We want to say that we want to subtract something from the position. So v at p minus equals, and then we want to subtract the normal. So this whole thing completely explodes now because it's subtracting so much that it sort of inverts the geometry. So that's probably not what we want to do. We want to create a slider to sort of control that. So let's create a slider. Float multi equals channel F multi. So again, you could call this anything you want. I just happen to always call, like a lot of times, call stuff multi times multi, right? So then we have a slider to control this stuff. So you can see it just inverts after a while. So it moves in and then it inverts, right? But we don't want to do that. We want to do it based on our color. So at cd dot equals time. So we want to do it based on the color times the multiplier. All right. So let's try this. And now you can see I can just set it in on just the parts where it has the eyes. So let's merge that in. So that's already looking better. So maybe I want the eyes to be a little bit more inside of the mesh. So what I could do is just choose a peak before the scatter maybe, and just peek this whole thing inward a little bit. So they're a little bit more inside. And then I could have some additional control. So again, remember peak is just doing the same thing as we did here, just displace along normal. And now let's maybe attribute delete our color. So we can just look at our regular geometry. So this is not really looking like I thought it would look. Let's have a look. Why is it not displacing as much as we want? Okay, we need to add some normals here to actually get some proper shading. So let's put normals here. I can actually see a little bit what's going on. Right, so that's looking better. Yeah, it is looking good. I like it. Maybe I do want to move the eyes up a little bit, so the density maybe more like that. And before we do the color here, we kind of need this attribute in shading as well. So let's create an attribute wrangle again. And let's maybe make an attribute that we can use in the shader. I'm just going to look up what I called it last time, because else then my shader will just work by default. So let's have a look. I think I called it. Oh, I actually think I did a second transfer for that. Oh, I called it inside. Oh, I did actually did a separate transfer for that. Okay, then let's just do that later when we start doing the shading. That might be a better way of doing things. All right, so let's remove this merge here. Let's just merge this in. Okay, so one more thing sort of remains, and I kind of want some flowy motion along this VDB thing. So what we can do maybe inside of here is that I want to do attribute fob and just create another noise here. So just type maybe anti-alias flow noise. Add it to the position. Add it like that. Looking completely crazy, but that's completely fine. Roughness, type put the flow in the time. Put a multiply, so we can say this, tell it a certain speed. Move up a level, and let's, oh, we also need to promote the amplitude. So let's go severely reduce the amplitude. Let's up the frequency. Let's up the speed. Okay, so how I ended up rendering this was having the eyes and the squid as a separate object. We could also just keep them as one object. Doesn't really matter. So if you want to keep them as a separate object, what I did here is I put down an out null for this. So put a null. Call this just out eyes. And then I am not merging them in here. So then we're having this geo without the eyes. But then the problem you run into is that the eyes are not moving with these noise. But what you can do is something called a reference copy. So this thing over here, this is our flowy noise. So I'll call it flowy noise, I guess. Flowy noise. If you right click and then go to actions and you can say create a reference copy, what this will do is it will create a copy with all of the channels referenced, as you can see. So even like normally we did this manually with copy parameter. So this will just create a reference copy that's the entire node referenced. Let's put it in between the eyes. So now the eyes will move in the same way that the noise there did. So let's put down an output or just something like that. Let's now copy our null from our eyes. Let's move up a level and let's make another geometry node. Call this eyes. Let's put object merge, put down our eyes like that into this object. And now we can see we have our eyes going on here. So one more thing remains, I think. So I think what I ended up doing is adding some more noise down below here. So just on the entire thing. Not actually sure if I did that, by the way. Let's just remove it. We can always add it later. One thing that we do need to do is, like I explained before, what we're going to do in the shader is because we don't have UVs. So if I type UV quick shade, it might just show some default UVs everything has, but no, it doesn't. So we don't have UVs. But what we are going to use triplanar mapping. So again, like I explained, triplanar mapping will just project UVs from 3 sides and then sort of blend between them, which is perfect for this thing that we did. But triplanar, so if we add it here, and we have a noise, what that will do is it will sort of the noise will sort of flow through the surface. So let me just show you quickly what I mean by that, so we avoid problems down the line.